Hi, it's Ursula from ursula-smith.com, and I am back with paper cutouts, or cardstock actually, cutouts. And we kind of did this with paper embossing, where we use different thicknesses, so multiple layers glued together, and use that to emboss paper. But I've also been playing around with these embossing things on leather. And so I wanted to see uh, either the 3D impression. So this experiment hopefully will accomplish two things. A, could we get a 3D look using different layers of cardstock? And or does the one layer or the two layer give me enough of a good impression on leather that I don't need to do the 3 layer because especially with the smaller things, it's kind of a drag. So to that end, I have a test case, tiny flowers, and I've labeled them so I know. This was actually, I have not tried this yet. So this was actually, I thought ahead. This is one layer, and then there's one. Oh, here it is. It's just got like a little bit of gold glitter pen. That's 2 layers. And then the one that's unmarked is 3 layers. So we're going to try that on a piece of leather and see what we get. So thanks for joining me. And here comes the experiment. Okay, I'm back. So I have my little cutouts in the different layers. So 1 layer, 2 layers, and 3 layers. And we're just going to, let's do it this way. 3 layers on the end, 1 layer on that end, and then 2 this way. And we're just gonna, I'm just laying it out on a piece of test leather. I've already wet it so that it should be ready to go. And as we have done before, I'm using my Sizzix Big Shot with the platform with just 1 tab down. And then I'm going to cover it with the embossing plate. And then we'll figure out how many shims we need. Let's start with all of them. Let's see how we do. And then we're going to roll it through. And that seems about right. And then roll it back. And in case you haven't seen the videos before, in this case I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of cardstock as shims. Again, if you've got thicker shims, you can feel free to use them, but that's just working for me right now. And so now what we've done, we've pressed in the cutouts at 3 different level or layers. This is 1 layer of cardstock. Ooh, that actually came out okay. This is 2. It's a little bit deeper. And this is 3. So definitely a difference between them. However, so we could do, if we wanted, and especially if the image was going to be popped up, we could do different levels and get a little more of a 3D effect, just like if you've seen my demo on doing a kind of faux 3D embossing on paper, kind of the same feel for that. Now, that to me looks pretty good. The 3 layer looks fabulous, but if you look at the 2, I mean, it embossed fine, but I didn't align as well. And then if you look closely, nope, that's the 3. So that came out good. I'm trying to see where the boo-boo is. But it seemed like on the 2, either it moved. Oh, that's the 2. So that was a pretty decent gluing job. Oh, there it is. I don't know if you can see that. You might have to trust me on this. The edge didn't quite line up. And so, yeah, that's probably that. This little edge here. If you can see, there's like a little bit of edge there. And so I don't know if I could take a stylus and smooth that out. I certainly wouldn't want to do a lot of it, but in this case, you know, I might be able to go in a pinch and smooth it out. I can go off and try and find a stylus and bring it back. But in any event, if you've got a super complicated design and you're okay with not a super deep impression, the 1 layer may be okay. And in fact, there's another one that I want to try. So I may come back with a separate test piece of leather and a different, will actually be the reverse where it was embossing up. And we'll see how that does, because if that looks okay with 1 layer, that may be the definite way I'm going to go with that test case. So anyway, hold tight and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I did find a couple of tools. I didn't really want anything sharp. This one's an old dental tool, and this end is definitely sharp. This one's not super sharp, but I'm wondering if the round ball end may be better to come in. I don't have my glasses on, so hopefully I can see that edge. Just come in and kind of smooth that down a little bit. It's not bad. It may show up once I go to color, if I do it. Let me see if this edge works a little bit better. Yeah, that may be workable. So I'm going to spritz it with some water. And it does look like I left some texture in there. So again, not quite sure how that will look if I go to stain it. Here's that other edge. I think the ball stylus is probably a little bit better. But I can try and go, I'm waiting for some different stain. I didn't like the stain that I have. And so I can go off camera and try and put some color on this, and then I can show you what it looks like, either on video or as a picture on my blog. But anyway, let's try. So now I also have a second piece of leather, and it was wet, but I've kind of been fiddling around, so let me kind of wet it again. And you're supposed to let this sit for a few minutes, but we're going to go with it the way it is. And then I have a single layer of this design should pop out, as opposed to the cutouts, which will press the image in. So the stencil, the leather should pop through, and the cutouts will depress the leather. So I'm going to try this as a single layer, because as you can see, I got a little bit aggressive when I was weeding out the little petals and totally totally wrecked it. And I probably could have sandwiched it between 2 decent similar cutouts, but we're just going to try this and see what we get. I'm going to try and center those, even though this is a test case. And then again, my embossing folder or plate cover, whatever you want to call it, and then my however many I counted earlier, and roll it through. And again, some of that you know, extra little edges there could also be because I'm rolling it back and forth. Okay, let's see how it looks with the single layer, and that's not bad. Okay, yet again, it's not as deep, but this is really kind of going to be sort of a background, and I'm thinking that's going to be the way to go when I have a super detailed cut. Rather than trying to glue, I may just go with a single layer. All right, well, that was a good experiment. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. So I did want to show you the results of, this was the single layer where I just cut one layer of this design and embossed leather with it, and this was what it looked like once I stained it. So again, still not a super deep impression, but you can definitely see it, especially now that it's stained. Not as much of the stain pools, again, just because it's not super deep, but it definitely works. So especially in a finicky design like this, where it would be really, really hard to layer 3 of these things together without, you know, getting off kilter and then having ridges. I think this is definitely the way to go because it still stains up really nicely. There you go. There you can see it. So thanks for joining me. See you next time.